I never imagined that a simple game could unravel the boundaries between reality and dreams, pulling me and my closest friends into a world where nightmares reign and the line between life and death becomes disturbingly blurred. What began as an innocent escape from our mundane lives quickly spiraled into a terrifying ordeal that none of us could have predicted or prepared for. The only thing I know now is that the stakes are higher than we ever could have imagined, and the consequences of losing this game are far more terrifying than anything we could have dreamed of. The idea to explore the world of dreams came from Sam, the most adventurous among us. He had found an obscure game online, one that promised an immersive experience unlike any other. The game was simple enough, or so we thought. We would gather together, fall asleep, and meet in each other's dreams. It sounded ridiculous at first, but the more we discussed it, the more intrigued we became. Our first session was exhilarating. I remember the rush of excitement as I drifted off to sleep, the anticipation of meeting my friends in a dreamscape crafted by our collective imaginations. And it worked. We found ourselves in a lush, vibrant forest, the trees towering above us, their leaves shimmering with an otherworldly glow. We spent hours exploring, laughing, and marveling at the sheer beauty of this dream world. It was everything Sam had promised and more. But that night, after we all woke up, we couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching us. It was subtle at first, a sense of unease that lingered at the back of our minds. None of us mentioned it, though we were caught up in the excitement of what we had just experienced. The next few sessions were equally thrilling. We explored new dreamscapes, each more breathtaking than the last, but with each session, the feeling of being what grew stronger, more oppressive. It wasn't long before we started noticing something or other, someone lurking in the shadows of our dreams. A figure, tall and gaunt, with eyes that burned like embers in the darkness. We called him the Dreamcatcher, though there was nothing comforting about his presence. At first, we convinced ourselves that he was just a figment of our collective imaginations, a manifestation of our growing unease. But as the sessions continued, it became clear that the Dreamcatcher was something else entirely, something malevolent, something that didn't belong in our dreams or our world. The first to go was Lucy. She was the quietest of us, always the most reluctant to push the boundaries. When she didn't show up to our next session, we assumed she had just decided to quit the game. But when we tried to reach her the next day, there was no answer. Her phone was dead, and her apartment was empty, as if she had simply vanished. That was when we realized that the Dreamcatcher wasn't just a part of the game, was hunting us. Panic set in quickly after that. We tried to stop playing, but every time we closed our eyes, we were pulled back into the dream world, the Dreamcatcher waiting for us with a malevolent grin. He didn't attack us directly, though. Instead, he toyed with us, manipulating our dreams, turning our worst fears against us. Each session became a battle for survival. The once beautiful dreamscapes now twisted into nightmarish realms, filled with horrors beyond our comprehension. We tried everything to escape staying awake for days on end, taking sleeping pills to force ourselves into a dreamless sleep. But nothing worked. The Dreamcatcher had us in his grasp, and he wasn't letting go. Sam was the next to go. He was always the bravest, the one who led us into this mess in the first place. But even he couldn't stand up to the Dreamcatcher. We watched in horror as he was torn apart by his own nightmares, his screams echoing in the darkness. When we woke up, there was nothing left of him, nobody, no trace that he had ever existed. It was as if the Dreamcatcher had erased him from reality itself. One by one, my friends were taken, each falling victim to their own fears, their souls consumed by the Dreamcatcher. I was the last one left, the only one still fighting to stay alive, to stay sane. I knew that if I fell asleep again, it would be the end, but I was exhausted, my body and mind pushed to their limits. I could feel the Dreamcatcher's presence even when I was awake, his eyes watching me, waiting for me to close mine. In the end, I had no choice. My eyelids grew heavy, and no matter how hard I tried to stay awake, sleep claimed me. The dream world was different this time, darker, colder. The vibrant colors were gone, replaced by a bleak, lifeless landscape. I was alone, or so I thought, but I could feel him, the Dreamcatcher, lurking just out of sight, waiting for the right moment to strike. I wandered through the desolate wasteland, searching for a way out, for any sign of my friends, but there was nothing, only endless darkness and the echo of my own footsteps. The fear was overwhelming, suffocating. I could barely think, barely breathe. And then I saw him, the Dreamcatcher, standing on the edge of a cliff, his back to me. He didn't move, didn't acknowledge my presence. For a moment, I thought I might have a chance to escape, to slip past him unnoticed, but as I took a step forward, the ground beneath me crumbled, and I fell into the abyss. I was falling forever, the darkness swallowing me whole. I could feel the dreamcatcher's grip tightening around my mind, his presence invading every corner of my consciousness. I was losing myself, my identity, my very soul. But then, something changed. In the depths of the abyss, I found a glimmer of light, a spark of hope. I reached out, grasping it with all my strength, and pulled myself out of the darkness. The dreamcatcher screamed, a sound that shook the very foundations of the dream world. I could feel his rage, his desperation as I broke free of his grasp. I woke up in a cold sweat, my heart pounding in my chest. I was alive, but I knew that the dreamcatcher was still out there, waiting for his next opportunity to strike. But I wasn't going to let him win. I had survived the nightmare, and I was going to find a way to defeat him, to save my friends, and to end this nightmare once and for all. But the line between dreams and reality has blurred, and I'm no longer sure if I'm truly awake or still trapped in the dreamcatcher's web. The only thing I know for certain is that I can't escape, not as long as he's out there, hunting, waiting for me to close my eyes. This is where my story ends, for now, but the nightmare continues. I am left with a lingering fear, a sense of impending doom that follows me even in the waking world. I can feel the dreamcatcher's presence, always watching, always waiting. The game may have ended, but the terror has only just begun.